YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with an updated NFL mock draft heading into week 13 of the NFL here. We actually updated one last week. We're doing it again. Why not? Things are changing each week. College football prospects, stock going up, stock going down. Some guys opting out of the season. We update these quite a bit throughout the year. In the offseason, once we're in free agency / draft mode, they're updated like crazy. A lot of other content for the offseason getting pumped out like crazy. So if you're new, please subscribe. As you can tell, we got you covered in season, in the off season, full NFL coverage. Follow that Twitter. Very important. We're going to have some giveaways in the near future, next week or two. Some giveaways. Got some Amazon gift cards for some of you guys. So you're going to want to follow that Twitter. It's very important. But constant NFL talk on there, talking during every live game. So if you don't have a Twitter, make one. Give us a follow. Help us out. Help yourself out. Instagram, podcast, Patreon, links for those as well in the description and comments. Underneath me, the Sided app. We're partnered with them. You debate, you earn points, and you can actually win Amazon gift cards through there. You can debate football. We have a page on there. Follow us. Yesterday, we had the debate of the day, and somebody that follows us through the channel, through the Goat House, won a $25 gift card just by participating yesterday. So it's pretty damn cool. Check it out. I mentioned that Patreon, bunch of extra content, junior score predictions, my bets of the week for NFL, college football, updated NFL playoff predictions. A lot's going on there in the offseason, more draft content. Check it out, link down below. Using the current draft order, so this changes pretty much every week. Again, not predicting anything. Current draft order. Trevor Lawrence remains one, expected to be the number one pick. I don't think anything will change that. I think it's kind of made up in not just like the Jets' mind, but everyone's mind that Trevor Lawrence will be the first pick. Justin Fields remains at number 2. That's expected to be right now. I guess it depends on who has the pick. You know, if the Bengals have the pick, I think they still go Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell, I have the 3rd overall pick. I talked about it in the past. I think he has potential to be a Pro Bowl tackle. If he was at guard, I think he'd be a Pro Bowler almost instantly. So it's a win-win situation there with Penei Sewell. He did opt out, but I'm not really worried about that. Him missing a season, missing playing time, really. For the Cowboys, take Patrick Surtain Jr. from Alabama. Supposed to be the top corner in the class, but I do think it's going to be a pretty damn good corner class. You look at Surtain, Caleb Farley. There's going to be some teams that will have Caleb Farley number 1, and J.C. Horn is not, and there's a long list of other guys too, but those 3 guys are at the top. Pretty strong class for the cornerbacks. The Chargers, Micah Parsons, a linebacker from Penn State. Kind of back and forth on Parsons. Could the Chargers could the Chargers go that route? So I think they could. You know, their D-line's looking pretty strong. Jerry Tillery starting to pick it up in the interior. Joey Bosa is a guy for the future. They could go edge rusher, try to find a Melvin Ingram replacement, but I do think they like Nwosu out there. They could be looking out for future guys in the secondary, but, you know, I think they're kind of shifting guys in and out. I know Drew Tranquill was out for most of the year so far, and he'll be back. They like Kenneth Murray, but I think they just get better there with Parsons, kind of pairing him with Murray, and if you want to play 3 Tranquill for the future. Parsons kind of a do-it-all guy, so I think it makes that defense that much better. Offense looks like it's doing their job. You know, defense is kind of letting them down right now. Eagles, Rashawn Slater, who's soaring up boards. I hear people talking more and more about him around the NFL. Teams like that he has experience pretty much everywhere. He can play tackle, they feel. He can play guard, they feel. He can play center. He can play any of the 3. And the Eagles, I think that'd be a perfect situation. They're giving up a ton of pressure, a ton of sacks. Yeah, Carson Wentz could be at fault for a chunk of those, perhaps, but maybe why. You look at why the offensive line is playing poor. It's pretty beat up. It is pretty beat up, but they still could use a starting. I view Slater as a starting guard of the future, you know, opposite of Brandon Brooks, perhaps, but he has experience at tackle. So if, you know, Lane Johnson, Dillard, they go down in the future, Slater can play tackle. Kelsey's been a strong center for some time. You know, maybe he doesn't have, there's nothing telling him he's going to retire like tomorrow or anything, but maybe he doesn't have, you know, that many years left. So, I mean, you get a 3-for-1 special with a dominant blocker, your offensive lineman, and Rashawn Slater. So that made a lot of sense to me. They could go receiver. I thought about receiver because they could keep missing on guys. There's still some guys. I like Jalen Reagor. I think he'll be good, but still somewhat of a project, I suppose. So they could go receiver. It's tough to see what they're thinking with receiver. You know, they value the position a little differently than most, so it's tough to think about there with the Eagles. But Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, pretty safe guys, could go around pick 6. The Panthers go Zach Wilson, the quarterback from BYU. Love me some Zach Wilson. I think the only knock you can possibly have on Wilson is he's playing weaker competition. But that really shouldn't be a knock on him. If you actually watch him, some of the plays, the throws he's making, it really doesn't matter the competition level. It doesn't really matter. He's putting the ball downfield on the run, perfect spots where it doesn't really matter who's out there covering the guy. It's going to be tougher in the end. I think pressures, that's the biggest thing for the college quarterbacks, but it's for all of them, not just Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. How will they be against NFL pressure, which is obviously the best of the best? How will they be? Zach Wilson has the athletic ability to move, to throw on the run, the strong arm ability, so I like Wilson. Panthers, Teddy's been hot and cold. There's just sometimes where it pops up where he just doesn't want to get the ball out downfield. I think Wilson would be perfect for a Joe Brady system, so that could be the guy of the future there for the Panthers. And Washington goes Trey Lance. I think they'll like Trey Lance. This could be a couple other guys, obviously a pretty good quarterback class. I think they'll like Lance. Reminds me of Cam Newton a little bit. Much better arm right now. Ron Rivera, big Cam Newton guy. Doesn't necessarily mean they go Trey Lance because of that, because, again, Ron Rivera, he is the head coach, but he's not the offensive guy there. I think they'll like him. I think they want to get something going on the ground with their quarterback. I think they want to get a guy that can run. I think that can complement that running back group, which is looking pretty good, led by Antonio Gibson, pretty good. It's really going to make it a tough game plan for other teams. So I think they'll like Trey Lance. It's a very risky pick, though. Not much of a sample size this year. One game. It wasn't the prettiest game, but last year, some pretty good things to go off of. The next group of picks, Lions take Devontae Smith, receiver from Alabama. Kind of back and forth. The Lions could go quarterback. I think they need one of the future, but Stafford obviously can play at a pretty solid level for them for the next couple years. It depends on who their coach is going to be, I suppose, and I guess GM as well, which is kind of up in the air. But something I've noticed, Galladay's been out of games. I think Galladay's potential to be a top 5 receiver in the NFL. He's definitely top 10. I love me some Kenny Galladay. Other than that, Marvin Jones is most certainly declining. After that, there's not much. It's just depth guys that you just have, for rotation if needed. But the last couple of weeks, these receivers really haven't been helping Stafford out, too much. They're kind of just a run straight guy or just run the set route type guys. They've been dropping the ball. They haven't been running good routes. They haven't been finding open lanes and zones, open gaps and zones. Devontae Smith is balling right now. I mean, this guy is a stud. I think he's a sure thing, plug-and-play guy right away, going to make an impact right away. Kind of like Justin Jefferson's doing from LSU on the Vikings. I think Devontae Smith, instant guy. Can play against man, can play against zone, downfield guy, underneath. He's adding more of the underneath game to his game this year. A lot of that. Last year was a dominant guy down the sideline. There's so much more to his game. He's gotten faster, great hands. Devontae Smith is maybe the biggest riser that's not a quarterback. So add him with Kenny Galladay. That'll be something. The Falcons go Mac Jones. Mac Jones, a huge riser. I kind of question with him, how will he be against – it's kind of the question with all the college quarterbacks every year. How will they be? The biggest question is how will they be against NFL pressure? And I kind of question Jones a little bit because he's had some time to throw, and when the rare times he has been under pressure, his footwork becomes a little sloppy. That was earlier in the year. He's really getting good now. He's really getting good. And I think he'd be the perfect guy to learn behind Matt Ryan for another year or two. So I think the Falcons would like Jones a bit there, and he's really rising up boards. He's going to go a lot earlier than people think. Then the Dolphins go Jamar Chase, who could be the best receiver in the class. Last year, his tape off last year was one of the best I've ever seen. A do-it-all receiver, really good at the point of attacking the ball, fighting off the corner if needed. The combination of strength, and footwork is ridiculous. These LSU receivers, they're good. They're good. So the Dolphins grab him to pair him with Parker. They have other guys like Preston Williams, but Chase Parker, you want 2 number ones. Those are your 2 number ones. Broncos, they could go Trask. I was kind of back and forth. It really depends on who is the coach for the Broncos. If it's still Fangio, I think he'll be in love with a guy like Caleb Farley. They need more corner help. They need more corner help. I prefer Callahan. Callahan can play outside and inside. And then, kind of pairing Farley opposite of Bouye, perhaps. It's just too much is on Justin Simmons in that secondary. He's got to cover so much ground. They could go quarterback, though. They got pretty picky with their quarterbacks, I thought, though. I think they kind of were before, but they were kind of unique and picky at the same time. They could, choosing who their quarterback would be. So they could very well like Trask. They're tough to figure out. It's going to be, but we kind of need to know who's coaching, who's in the front office. You expect it to be Elway still. It's going to be tough for them to get him to step down. Farley's a stud though. 6'2", former receiver, turned corner. I love that. Coaches love that. It's worked out in the past. Understanding the position that you have to play against, huge. So receiver turned corner, that checking that box, that's a bonus. 6'2", that's a bonus. Physical, very physical and fast. A 4.4 guy, perhaps, maybe better. Those things together are ridiculous. Has experience with man coverage, very physical at the line. He's checking all the boxes. Teams are going to love this guy. Could go top 10. So the Broncos grab him. Kyle Trask for the Bears. So the Bears are getting an earlier pick every time we do these, and that could be what they need, honestly, because they need a quarterback, but they need a lot on offense. Their offensive line's pretty beat up. If it's fully healthy, it's probably an average. A couple years ago, it was like top 5. When fully healthy, but it's definitely declined. But when it's fully healthy, it's way better than what it is now. But they could be looking for offensive line of the future because Leno, those guys, they're not going to be around forever. And Leno probably could be replaced about now anyways. A guy like that for left tackle, probably the most important position on the line, obviously. Mainly I'm looking at the interior. Those guys have been pretty beat up. Whitehair's missed some time. James Daniels missed pretty much the whole year at this point. So they could go line. They could go receiver because they could lose Allen Robinson. I think they need pretty much everything on offense. There's not a spot where no, they're set with that. That doesn't really exist. But you get Trask here. I like Trask a lot. He's really improved. I think the pocket presence is where where his strength is in his improvement there. You don't really see him. That's kind of like the footwork specifically in the pocket. That's where it's like rare to see improvement from a college quarterback, and he's done it in less than a year. So very impressive. Has to move if he needs to as well. I think they'll like him. There could be some coaching changes, front office changes for the Bears, but it'll be a pretty good pick. Vikings take Gregory Rousseau from Miami, so he drops a bit. The 2 pass rushers in a row, they drop a little bit. They're really good players, top 10 players, but as you can see in a scenario like this, it's very realistic they can drop. The Vikings will get Danielle Hunter back next year. He's one of the best in football, but he did miss a whole year. He had a neck surgery. So how will he be? I'm confident, but you never know. Other than that, DJ Wonham is probably their next best pass rusher, but that should be a rotation guy. And what they'll like about Rousseau is that he can move around a bit. He's got experience on the edge. He's got experience at a 3 technique. They actually played him. Miami's played him at nose tackle. He doesn't really have the measurables for nose tackle, but he's made big time plays there. So I think Mike Zimmer and company will really like that. And I think pairing him with Danielle Hunter will make for a scary. They tried to create a dominant duo getting Ngakoue. Obviously that didn't work out, but so they're trying to do something like this. Kwity Paye, the Michigan edge rusher, freaky strong dude, dominant in the run game as well. Pair him with the ex-Michigan pass rusher, Chase Winovich. That would be ideal. The Patriots don't get enough pressure. For some reason, they got a ton of it against the Cardinals. Just a really good game plan. So this could help them for sure. The Niners go J.C. Horn, corner from South Carolina. They got a bunch of corners that are about to be free agents. So and Sherman kind of getting up there in age as well. Still very good. But I think they'll like J.C. Horn here. They could be looking out for quarterback, but a lot of them of the future, but a lot of them gone. You see, I think the Trask was kind of the last first rounder that went there, or it could be any order. You get my point, just in this scenario. So Niners go that route. Next, Terrace Marshall has been soaring up my board. Another LSU receiver. He just opted out, but that last game against Texas A&M, he was fantastic. It was pretty much him versus Texas A&M. This was the offense. Last year he was kind of a contested catcher, can get open downfield. I think he added so much more to his game. He's a lot faster than you would think. He's pretty built dude. You like that. Can throw some guys off him, but he's got some long speed to him too. Can get open. I think he's improved in a short amount of time. Some of these receivers, they're getting better and better in no time. So I love me some Terrace Marshall. The Raiders, it's a good guy to pair. It's kind of like a way better version of what you thought you were going to get from Tyrell Williams, who really he hasn't really been playing this year. Hasn't played at all. And he's pretty much a jump ball guy, and hands actually can come into a question. So adding Marshall with a guy like Ruggs and Aguilar could be great for the Raiders. The Ravens get Jaylen Waddle, receiver Alabama. He can go much earlier in this. The injury could hurt him a little bit, but I don't know if it's as serious as they made it. I think they were just like, it's a weird season. You're about to be a first-round pick. Let's not risk anything. And he was probably going to miss time anyways, but I think they were, I don't know if it's going to affect. My point is I don't know if it's going to drop him out of the first round or anything like that. But Waddle could go a lot earlier. He could go a lot earlier because he's a do-it-all type guy. Here's my opinion, and I feel very strongly about this. Devontae Smith, Jaylen Waddle, the two Alabama prospects this year, receiver prospects this year versus Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy last year. I think it's clear to me, people will disagree, this group is better. I think this year's Bama duo is better than last year's. And you kind of compare Waddle to Henry Ruggs a little bit. They're both dominant deep ball. Henry Ruggs more because of his speed and his ball tracking ability. Waddle because of his speed. I think he's a little better attacking the ball. Has the ball tracking ability, but better attacking the ball. I think he's better with his footwork, and I think he's better. Take away the deep stuff, intermediate to small routes, short routes underneath. I think Waddle's better. So you kind of compare those two. Ruggs, if Jeudy can figure out, which he's getting better at, how to recognize zone coverages. He's a really good man, obviously, because of his footwork, and he has some speed to him, some wiggle to him, obviously. But he's going to be damn good, Jerry Jeudy, that is, if he can understand defense a little better, which he's starting to do. He does it a little bit. And if the Broncos get a quarterback. But looking at Devontae Smith, he's a do-it-all guy across the board. Plug-and-play guy right away, can make an impact. So I like the Bama guys better this year, actually, which could be a surprise. Wyatt Davis, the guard from Ohio State, which could go earlier. The Giants, they tried to move Zeitler at the trade deadline, so they could be looking for a younger guy to pair with Will Hernandez, opposite of him. Wyatt Davis is a dominant blocker, so the Giants could love to have him. It's weird seeing the Giants back here. They're leading the division currently, so they got pushed back here because they're looking like a playoff team at this moment. Joseph Asai for the Cardinals. They're missing Chandler Jones right now. They need him back. How much more of Chandler Jones they're going to get? He's aging, but he's still great, and they could have him for a long time. But they could use somebody opposite of him. They have some other guys, but they could get better there. They need more pass rush. Joseph Asai, I think, fits their 3-4 defense perfectly, and he gets to the quarterback. So I think that's a guy to learn opposite of Chandler Jones, learn from Chandler Jones. This can help you big time right now and in the future is the way I look at it. Kyle Pitts ends up falling at 21. I made this scenario. I made this mock draft, and I don't really like that he fell here, but I do realistic scenarios. So this ended up being realistic that he actually can fall here. The reason I say I don't really like it is because Kyle Pitts is easily going to be in the top 10 on my board. I mean, this might be the best tight end prospect of all time, mainly because he fits today's era. You can put him out wide. You can put him in the slot. You can put him in line. He can block a lot better than you think. You view him as I think most people view him as just a receiving tight end that's pretty good after the catch because he's really fast. And then people ignore that he can block, play in line. But people ignore the contested catch ability is ridiculous. It's the best in the class. If I wanted to throw the ball up to somebody, if you said that last year, if I wanted to throw the ball up to somebody, who was the best in that historic contested catch, I would have told you, I probably would have told you Chase Claypool. I think I probably said that in the past too, last year during this process. But now it was a number of receivers is my point. Now it's Kyle Pitts. It's a tight end here that's a do-it-all type guy. Buccaneers got a long list of tight ends, but none of them are really the answer for the future. This makes them that much better, that much scarier in offense. Dolphins take Elijah Vera Tucker from USC, can play tackle or guard. Another USC lineman. I think they play him at guard perhaps. But has the flexibility the versatility to move around a little bit. The Colts, I've kind of had this, I think, this might be second or third mock draft I had. The Colts taking Liam Eichenberg. I like the fit there for him at left tackle. They have Anthony Costanzo, who is one of the best in the business, but he actually thought about retirement in the past. He's got one more year after this. I think he's going to retire after that. And he's actually hurt right now. So they're going to be looking for the guy of the future there. They're really good with their offensive linemen. They're going to make sure they have the next guy up right now. So they grab him. So two Notre Dame guys in a row. Jeremiah Usu-Karamoa, who is today's type linebacker in a 4-3, which the Browns run. They're going to put him outside. He's very rangy. You can get him after the quarterback. He can cover from the linebacker position, but on third downs, he goes in the slot and he covers receivers and tight ends, and he does it at a very high level right now. So it's one of those outside linebackers that in today's NFL, teams are just taking off the field field on third down, you don't have to take off the field on third down. So it's ideal there for the Browns. The last 8 picks here, Christian Darrisaw, who is soaring up boards, the Virginia Tech left tackle, and I think he could be the future left tackle of the Jacksonville Jaguars there to keep their quarterback protected. So they get better there, and they get a replacement for Robinson perhaps there. So with the Jags 2 picks. The Jets 2 picks, Rashad Weaver, edge rusher from Pittsburgh, the guy to look out for. Pittsburgh, very good defense, a lot of prospects on that defense. Kind of going into this year, and I think going into the Notre Dame game, I was like watching the Notre Dame game versus Pitt earlier in the year, and I'm looking forward to. I'm scouting a bunch of players, for our draft coverage, but I'm mainly thinking Patrick Jones. Patrick Jones, their top pass rusher, he's getting a lot of production, but who keeps standing out? Rashad Weaver, and since then, that was weeks ago. Since then, Rashad Weaver's the guy that stands out. So this guy is really soaring up boards as well. And the Jets, I think the Jets have the flexibility. We'll see if Greg Williams is still the coordinator, but it doesn't really matter. Greg Williams is always more familiar with 4-3 anyways, and I think they've added some more guys to fit the 4-3 a little better, and I think Weaver can fit that as well. So we'll see if they make that switch. I would urge them to. I think Weaver would fit that a little better. The Titans take Rashad Bateman, who's a very good receiver, a do-it-all receiver, physical at the point of catch, really good footwork, knows how to get open. They actually could lose Corey Davis, which they would like him back. I think they could pay him. I just see another team possibly paying more than they're willing to pay. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. So they may need to grab another receiver here to pair with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, I think you need another. A.J. Brown's great. He's great. I think you need another number one. I think everybody needs 2 number ones, but you desperately need another number one to pair with A.J. Brown, because you want to be able to put A.J. Brown in the slot outside, switch it up a little bit. I think Bateman would be great. I think that's like the ideal Corey Davis replacement if you need to. But if you want to get Corey Davis back and get Bateman, you want to run those 3 guys, you're going to have a dominant receiver unit there. So that's ideal as well. Bills take Shaun Wade, corner from Ohio State. I think he can be a Pro Bowl slot corner. But I also think he can be a starting outside corner, so you kind of get a 2-for-1 there for the Bills. Packers take Kadarius Toney, another Florida guy that's rising up boards. So do-it-all guy, speed demon guy, but he's not just, you kind of worry about it. I think the Packers specifically have always worried about the speed guys. Are they just speed guys? Are they just is that what, even with Henry Ruggs, some people weren't going to take him first receiver off the board because they were worried, is he just kind of a one-gear, one-dimensional speed guy? And Toney, I think, has shown that he's more than that, a lot more than that. He's built to break tackles after the catch if you want to give him the end around. He's good downfield. He's good with his footwork, his route running. So I think he's not just a speed guy, not a one-dimensional guy. And he's twitchy, and he's fast. He's that home run play waiting to happen. I think the Packers could really benefit from gaining a guy like this. The Chiefs go corner. I thought they might go corner a little earlier last year. I like Breeland. Is he a long-term answer? And they need to start getting younger guys. They don't have to pay a whole lot to get these spots they may need. The Chiefs want their corners. They're picky about their corners. They have to be physical. They have to be able to run man coverage. They have to be physical at the line. Physical, be able to come up and tackle. They're very picky and understandable. Stokes is physical at the line. He's very physical at the line, so I think they'll like him. Saints go Dylan Moses, linebacker from Alabama. The Saints traded for Kwity Alexander. Why? Because they thought they needed him. Demario Davis was kind of carrying that linebacker unit a little too much, I thought, before that point. So they felt like they needed Kwity Alexander. Yes, he's under contract for more years to come, but I don't think he'll be on the team after this year. The Saints have a cap space situation. Kwity Alexander, his contract is set up where you can cut him and you don't lose a dime. That's another reason why they felt okay to trade for him. They would love to have him back because he's a good player, but can they? I don't think they can do that. So they're going to have to get these important spots they need through the draft where it's a little cheaper. So Dylan Moses, who's a very good linebacker as well, could definitely help them out a ton there. And he can kind of fill that role. And then the Steelers go Trey Smith. Not a whole bunch of needs for the Steelers. They could use a quarterback future. It's tough to find right here at 32. I like Trey Smith a lot. And I don't know if people are talking about him. I think he can play tackle if somebody needed him to as well, but I think he can be a Pro Bowl guard. Mean, nasty blocker, bullies people, pancakes people all the time. DeCastro getting up there in age. They could, in general, they can get better at that position and keep Big Ben protected because you don't need him getting hurt while you're in kind of that mode. So we're looking out for our future quarterback. But if we're picking down here, we're gonna have to overdraft the guy. At this point, you're gonna take a Jamie Newman right here who opted out at a. You're not. So I went with Trey Smith there. I like Trey Smith quite a bit. So always enjoy doing these. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please smash that like button. Subscribe. Full NFL coverage here all year long for the Goat House. So hopefully you can join us. Turn notifications on. Follow us on Twitter. Very important to follow us on Twitter. A lot going on there. A lot more to come. And just keeping up to date with us there. But that is going to wrap up this week's mock draft heading into Week 13 of the NFL. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.